Hi everyone, it's Claire from ScrappyNerdUK and I am bringing to you a process video today for a layout that I made for another layout that I made for my wedding album, and I'm using one of the newest Rosies Studio collections called Better Together. They sent this to me to have a little play with and it's absolutely perfect for my wedding album, and I'm hoping it's the inspiration that I need to just give myself a boot to get this project finished. It's a PhD project, half done, that has been ongoing for a while. I ideally wanted to get it finished this year, but that's not going to happen. So I'm equally happy that I've made a lot of headway this year with the album. So I'm hoping that next year, early next year, I'll get it finished. So these photographs were in my wedding album, and they were all printed to, I think they were 4x6 photos originally. Now these photos were from disposable cameras that we had on the tables. This was way back in 2007, when smartphones did exist, but disposable cameras were a thing then. I'm not too sure if they are now, but the quality of them is not great. And so what I thought I would do is, rather than having them as a 4x6 photo, because that just takes up a lot of real estate in my albums, is to trim them down to a more manageable size. And I think they're about 2 inches, or two by 2.5, something like that. And I would use them on one scrapbook layout instead. So the photographs are of my husband's family, and they all go together. So this is all one family, and so I thought I would use them all together like this. And I am just trimming down. So starting with some white cardstock. It's always my go-to. So I do struggle to use pattern paper as a background unless it's not so busy. And so having a sheet of white cardstock sometimes when I feel a little stumped, I know it sounds crazy, but having a blank canvas actually helps more than trying to fight with pattern paper, a pattern paper background. So I've trimmed down 4 of the patterns from the 12x12 paper pack, and I'm going with these 4. Now I know that one on the left seems slightly out because that is blue and all the others are the pinky, browny, peachy tones. However, I will include some other navy elements to move that colour around the page. So I just really like that paper, which is why I chose it. So I've gone ahead and I have matted my photos on white cardstock, and that is the only other paper that's going to get used on here. Now I want to tie all of these together, so I love this gold thread from We Are Memory Keepers, and I use it in my sewing machine as well as using it on just like this where I'm tying things. And so I've lifted those bits of pattern paper and I've wrapped it around. I need my little helper in here to hold that down whilst I tie it, and he wants to say hello as well. And I forgot he did that actually. And so I'm going to tie that into a bow, but before I do that I want to add some pieces of ephemera. So I'm just going through the ephemera pack and having a look at what bits and bobs I could tie onto that gold thread, and I pull out 3 things in the end actually, I think. Whilst I'm going through though, and because you get a ton of ephemera in these packs, I think there's like 160 something in the pack, and I've mentioned before you actually get 2 of everything, so it's quite handy, and it means I don't actually hoard it because I know that I've got another one to use. So yeah, I just love the amount of ephemera you get to choose from. So before I finish all of that off, I'm having just more of a rifle through this pack of ephemera. There's actually 2. There's one that I think it's called Tags, Frames and Banners, or Tags, Sentiments and Banners, which is the one that I'm looking through right now. And then there's another pack that's got a whole load of florals and some critters and rainbows and all sorts. So you'll see me go through both packs. So just finishing off this one here. So I've knotted it, and then I'm just going to thread on 3 of these tag pieces. So just looking at the sizes of them. So the longer piece I've threaded through the back, and then the medium piece, and then the short piece all on top. And I'm not going to stick those down, I'm just going to leave those loose so they can kind of move around a little, and then I'll just tie that off with a little bow, if I can get that working. This is the only problem when you've got nails. This is when I had tips on my nails. Yeah, it doesn't work for me as a crafter, I'm afraid, but it's always nice to have nails done. So anyway, back to the layout. So here are my little photos. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick those straight down onto each of those pattern papers. And then I'm going to use some foam to stick up some of the bits of ephemera, and some of them I will stick flat. So for the minute, I was deciding whether I wanted my photos to be staggered, but I actually decided in the end I do prefer just to have them all straight all across in a line. And then so here is these little speech bubbles with a heart in. So this is where I'm moving some of that navy blue across to the right hand side of the page to make sure that it's not isolated just over to the left. So looking at the floral pack now, I wanted to use this floral piece, but it's got quite a large white halo around it, and because I'm scrapping on white, I wanted to trim some of that down. So I just took some of my cutter bee, I took my cutter bee scissors to that floral piece of ephemera, and I just trimmed around some of that white just to remove it, so it wasn't getting lost with my background. And then again, just having a sift through this second ephemera pack, and because these photographs were taken in the evening portion of our wedding, obviously there was a lot of music, so that little record player I thought was perfect, so I'm going to include that as well. Now ideally I should have made a decision about the frames before I started sticking things down, but they were hidden, I forgot about them. So all I'm doing here is I'm taking one of these frames and I'm trimming it down to actually use it above and below the photograph. So I was going to add two, but then I don't know, it didn't look right. So I'm just trying to build a little bit of a heavier area on the right because the colour on the left is heavy. So a lot more of my embellishing is going to happen on the right, including this frame. So that was one frame, and because I trimmed that down, it now looks like there's two frames there, and it's not, it's just the one. So that's a little tip for you as well. Or don't be scared to cut into your ephemera or frames. I do it with flowers quite often as well. If I'm tucking a flower, I'll cut it in half, and then I've got another half to use somewhere else as well. So go and have a look at the sticker pack. There are some gold hearts in the sticker sheets, and so I incorporate one into the cluster on the left, one into the cluster on the right, and then one into the cluster at the top there. Now these puffy word sentiments are my favourite thing in this collection, and again moving some of that navy over so it's not so heavy on the left, and incorporating that into the right hand side as well. And I think the hardest decision creating this layout was actually which ones of these I wanted to use, and it's going to be a sad day when I've got all of these used up, but I just love the sentiments in these, and they work for many different occasions as well. So yeah, just deciding which of these are going to work, and there's always something that will fit. And then I'm going to use these little gold puffy ampersands, and because there are 5 people in these photos, I'm using the ampersands throughout the clusters. Rather than just using it for a title, I use them as an embellishment. And I'm going to use another at the top because my title is going to be called Heart and Soul, because they are quite often the heart and soul of the party. And so I'm going to finish the title off using these little tile alphas, which is another part of this collection. And I want to use all of the same colour, so I'm just checking the rows to see which ones have all got the same colour, and it's this kind of pinky colour that I can spell out the word soul with. And I'm not a fan of mixing and matching the colours when it comes to alphas, so I really struggle with that. So with these it's perfect because I had enough to be able to write the word soul all in a single colour. And when I get down to using the others as well, I think it would just be a case of I just have to suck it up and go with mixed alphas in the end. So but then I think the last embellishment I add on is just some of these puffy stickers. So I grab out some of the puffy hearts from this puffy sticker sheet, And then I will come in with some gold Heidi Swap Colour Shine, just to add some gold mist into each of my 3 clusters. And this layout is then finished. So thank you very much for joining me today. Now, if you weren't aware, I've actually started a Patreon. So if you'd like to see more of my content, then I'll leave that linked in the description box down below, so you can head on over and go and take a look at my tiers that are available if you wish to support me over on Patreon. And I'll leave a few more of my YouTube videos on screen also for you now, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye.